Welcome, one and all. Welcome back to the lecture hall where we get deep into Fanalysis 101. I am your host, RockinMrMagic, and with me is my enigmatic co host, the one and only Greg Burnham.
Greetings and salutations. I want to move that paper out the way. They didn't tell me paper.
How you feeling, G?
Man, I'm good. Coming off a good night. Opening night was action packed. And when you consider typically how rusty guys are coming into the season, mostly everybody was looking sharp last night. My former team, the Lakers, got dog walked.
Well, we'll touch on that a little bit. We'll touch on
Yeah.
that a little bit.
That's me
We'll
because I
touch
was.
on that a little bit. Before we go far into
Whew.
that, I would like to welcome our first guest to this show. I'm honored to introduce our guest. He is a member of the Nintendo Therapy podcast, and he is the host of Harrison Talks, the one and only Harrison Rich.
Hey guys, thank you for having me on. So happy to be here. I hope you guys had a fantastic opening night. And I I feel like we need a name for the second opening night. Tonight there are 12 games. There's always like 12 or 13 games the second night. And I always get that FOMO. Because the first
Mm,
night I can watch everything. Second night you can only watch,
you only watch
so
so much.
much.
Yeah.
So it's like the crazy opening night. I don't know. We'll think about it later. But I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you for having me on. Rest in peace, D'Angelo. I haven't been able to say that on a podcast since that happened, and he was for me the top of neo soul and one of my favorite artists of all time. So I'm gonna throw that in there to start our date today.
Oh, well, I appreciate the tribute. I have not had the opportunity to do the same on any of our shows, so I appreciate you spurning that. Um, our heartfelt condolences to D'Angelo's family, particularly his son who lost both of his parents uh, this year.
More
Between
recently.
him and Angie Stone, within months of each other. But thank you for being here, Harrison. Before we get into um, the primary topic of this episode, which is the 2025-26 NBA preview, why don't you share with listeners how they can find you and what your content is out there on the interwebs?
On the basketball side of things, I host a weekly show called Harrison Talks Pod. We took a break over the summer for a couple different things, good and bad. I just did a preview episode, this morning, I guess, in America time. So today that was up, previewing opening night. So I had a lot of thoughts there, and new episodes come up this week. So Harrison Talks Pod, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Matt's been on there; he'll be on there again, and we just try to have some good quality NBA conversations on there. On the gaming side of things, I also help out with a weekly pod called Nintendo Therapy, which is, of course, a Nintendo focused podcast. And, we've been really busy lately with the Switch 2, and it's just the most unique time in history with video game journalism. Not necessarily in a good way, but if you like the Nintendo history and the Nintendo nostalgia or just gaming in general, that's good to check out too. And we're working on putting our own network together. That's actually hopefully launching next week as well, because we're jealous of the Jeek Nation. We see the Jeek Nation triangulating things, and we think we need to get our link tree put together and make sure, because the other hosts, Nintendo Therapy, they also have their podcast. They're doing old and new. So you can find me on there. I'm always recording things. I'm always writing things connected to that. So that's it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you having you here. Not only you being our first guest, but you make this our first international show.
Sure.
Uh, so yeah, so you are in Thailand, correct?
That's true. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm in northern Thailand. It is about 8:30 right 8:30 right now. What is it? I'm 13 hours behind you guys. So yeah, my opening night started at 6:30 a.m. It's not so bad. If you don't have to work, it's not so bad, you know. Sometimes you got to work. Um, but if you don't have to work, waking up and having some basketball with your cereal, your
Hey,
coffee.
that's a great way to start the day. That is that's a great way
NFL
to start the day, man.
NFL is impossible though, because red zone starts like 1 a.m.
Mm.
Ah,
So
yeah,
or like 12 o'clock. So it's just impossible. Um,
that's
so
tough.
the only bad part about being here.
Wow. Well, yeah. Thank you for being here, especially with the time differences. We really appreciate it. So we're gonna jump into we're gonna before we do the preview, we're gonna do some of the things we normally do here on Fanalysis 101. Um, we're gonna jump right into probably our most consistent segment, better now or better than. Harrison, since this is your first time, Better Now and Better Then is a segment where we take athletes and we discuss whether we think they would be better in this current era or if they were better in or they would be more better suited for the era they played in. Most of the time, we've done basketball. We've touched a little bit on football, but we're going to branch in other sports. But because this is an NBA preview episode, we are going to stick in the realm of basketball. I blacked out the area so you could not see who these people are. So we're going to start with player number one. Player number one is someone who I really enjoyed watching in the then ACC. Um, One of my favorite nicknames, and for like a year or two when I was coming up as an up and coming middle school to high school player, I used to act like we were cousins. Um, that is the one and only the Wizard, Walt Williams. Walt the Wizard, small forward, 6'8", 219, out of the University of Maryland. Career average of, we're going to call it 12, 11.8, 12 points a game, 4 boards a game, 2 assists a game. Some of the notable percentages: the Wizards shot 42.5% from the field, shot 37.9 from three, and 74% from the line. So the question is, gentlemen, would the Wizard be a better player now or a better player in his era?
I'm gonna let Harrison go first since he's the guest.
Okay.
Because I got stuff to say about this. My dog.
Okay. I maybe have less to say about Walt Williams, but I'm happy you started with someone who at least played in somewhat of my era, right? Uh, what retired in '03, right?
Oh three.
Right?
Yep. Yeah. Last year with the
Yeah.
Mavericks.
I think Walt Williams is better now because he has the right length of a three or a stretch three, and I see that in his second to last season he was 42% from three on 3.8 attempts. So and even 95, yeah, I mean even seasons that he's upwards of 46%. So I think you add on more volume, more focus, but then you're also able to stretch the floor, play good defense. I think this is a good archetype for a player today. So that's kind of my milk toast answer to that. Greg, what do you got?
So Walt is one of my intangible all-stars, like from the college days. He's in there with your Lawrence Moten, who recently passed. Rest
Rest
in
in peace,
peace.
Lawrence Moten.
Malik Sealy, like guys that were a little bit on the frail side for the NBA at that time. Now everybody's frail. High IQ basketball player, really good ball handler. Walt could dabble at the point, which I think he could play pretty easily in today's game without the hand checking and without being allowed to touch people and stuff. His shooting percentages aren't the greatest, but he was the kind of guy where the more attempts he gets, the more free flowing, basketball he's playing, the better he's gonna shoot it. He did increase his 3-point percentage, later, which you pretty much have to have now, especially if you're gonna be a perimeter player. So I think he would do really well. I think that his size, like he wasn't the strongest dude, and so playing in this, super duper spaced out league today, I think that he would be able to do some stuff. I would have loved to see him, at the point. He didn't really get to play the point in the NBA, but he handled a lot more in college. So yeah, I think he'd be solid. Now, I'm not sure he'll be a world beater, but I think he would be a solid start, like a pretty solid starter.
Wow. So Walt Williams, his highest point per game was his rookie season.
Yes,
Mhm.
with
That's crazy.
Sacramento.
You never see that from a player that plays more than 10 years in the league.
That depends. It's you got to also, and you're a little younger than we are, so you don't remember the early '90s of the Sacramento Kings. They were a disaster.
Yeah.
So he came into the league and they gave him the ball and said, you're allowed to shoot. And you'll notice if you look at his stats, it's also the highest amount of shots per game that he got. They were like, shoot the ball. We need you to score. We need scoring help.
Remember, that was the time when if they picked you in the lottery, especially if you went to a bad team, then they were giving you the keys. So like you look at a guy like Stacey Augmon, who was not a very good scorer at all, but that first year in Atlanta, they were throwing him the ball like he was Jordan or Grant Hill or somebody, like, hey man, go get it. And it took him like a year to be like, okay,
Then they were like, okay, we gotta go get Steve Smith,
right?
Because we need somebody who can score.
Right, he's barely an NBA player, but yeah, that was really consistent back then. It was crazy.
But even though he never eclipsed that 17 points a game, once he got into a rhythm, you mentioned his 3-point shooting. It dipped a little bit, but he only had 1 year under 30%. And for the majority of his career, he's shooting 35% or higher, peaking at 45% in 95, 96 when the year Sacramento traded him. 40% for the whole season. He shot 45% playing for the Heat. He shot 40% for the year, 95, 96, 96, 97.
When that was shortened, was the line still shortened? Wasn't that the year they shortened the line?
So actually the 90, 94, 95, 95, 96, it was shorter. 96, okay. 97, they put it back to the where it was. So he actually shot his best full season when it went back to the regular length.
Got it.
But he was one thing. So people are gonna like lose their minds over this comparison because I don't think he's the same level of talent, but the game is there. He was a pre-KD archetype. Tall, he could handle. He could shoot, he could attack the rim. He had a full bag. Again, not the talent of a KD, but he fits the length, the perimeter play, the shooting ability, just not on the same level of a Kevin Durant. But he's that type of player you want right now. Like to Harrison's point, you want to. If you're building a player, this is the type of player that you're building on 2K. This is the type of player you want for this modern NBA. I agree with Greg. I don't think he would be a world beater, um, but I think he would be dropping 21 a game pretty consistently, especially with how wide open the game is. And if you're going to give him open threes, like he was shooting a lot of contested threes as a primary or secondary option. But when he was in Miami, in Toronto, and he was getting those open looks, even in Portland, where he's playing with the Jailblazers, he's getting wide open looks. He's hitting 40% or higher,
Yeah.
50% from the field with Houston. When he got that space, he's lighting it up. So I definitely think he'd be a 20 game scorer, maybe get an All Star once or twice. But I agree, not going to be a superstar, but a lower level star player, impact player, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, next player, because we're going to keep this segment shorter because we got a lot to get into. The next player is uh, he is. I was going to save him for a different segment, um, talking about the sons of players, but he's too good, in my opinion, to not bring up for this. Son of the legendary Rick Barry, winner of the slam dunk contest, and that is Brent Bones Barry. For those not familiar with Brent Barry, um, 9 points per game average, 2 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game. All rookie in 95 96 as a member of the LA Clippers, where he indeed won the dunk contest while still wearing his warm up jacket. Greg, I'm going to start
Uh,
with you. How you think Bones would do playing today, or better today, or better than yesteryear?
so I gotta say, first of all, shout out to John, who's my favorite Barry son. But
No, I
um,
love. I come on. He was a. I love
uh,
John.
I
He's
love
the one
John.
guy I wanted to get that title in Detroit, and he ain't get it. I
Yeah,
feel bad for John. I love him.
I love that dude. Brent's the better player. Um,
Yes. Oh yeah.
so thing about Brent, he didn't have a lot to his game, but he could shoot it. And shooting is extremely important in today's game. I've I've been watching games, for this couple of hours before we went live, just scrolling through, looking, at the different teams and seeing the amount of guys that still can't shoot, or the guys that are allowed to shoot that aren't shooters.
Yes.
Back in our day, oh man, back in our day, if you couldn't shoot, you weren't shooting. So
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, Brent was getting, like, he was like, what's he, like, 40% lifetime from three.
Yes.
So you bulk that up, give him, like 6 to 8 attempts, like a lot of these guys are getting. Yeah, I think he would. I don't see All Star because he didn't have a lot of wiggle. If you got,
No, he was very
if you,
stiff.
yeah, if you pressured him, it wasn't that good. But high IQ, and he could absolutely shoot the lights out. And he was athletic enough, I think, to be a solid defender in this era. So I hate putting that 3 and D thing on people because I think,
No, but
uh,
that's
but
exactly
I
what
think
he
he
would
would,
be.
yeah, I think he would be an elite 3 and D guy, just from the fact that, like, you can't leave him. Like, if you leave him, stash him in the corner or on the wing and leave him if you want to,
Oh, you can't leave him because he's going to kill you.
Right.
And one thing I'll say about Bones before I let Harrison chime in, I wanted to give him some time to familiarize himself with Brent a little bit. But people forget pre-injuries. Like, yeah, he didn't have a lot of wiggle, but he had enough. He had enough handle to blow by. He had enough speed to blow by, and when he got into the air, he was dunking on you. So
Right.
like you couldn't play him. Obviously, you can't let him shoot. You have to press up on him, and he's quick enough to get by you, and he will
Mhm.
finish at the rim. So like, I don't think he had enough to be a number one option. But could he be your number two or number three option? Absolutely, and he could in today's game. Like, I mean, his prime years, which I consider the Seattle years. I mean, 2001, he shot 47.6% from three, and shot just under 50%, 49% from the field. You
And
like
that-
what are you going to do against that? And
that's bananas, man.
it's absolutely bananas.
And then with his athleticism, the other thing I would say is, so we've watched like a lot of guys who would have just been pattern players, but now with the all the way the rules are, and these guys are training to hunt shots and hunt threes.
Hmm.
So like I think that with his athleticism, if he brushed up on his ball handling, that was another thing. Like you get a role back then, that was your role. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we don't need you getting all fancy trying to do extra stuff to create. Whereas now everybody on the perimeter is getting fancy and figured out ways to create. So, you tap that in, like, he sharpens his ball handling and actually like keeps his head focused on scoring, you might get a different outcome. When I say high IQ, I mean high IQ. And one of those guys that was really interested in making the right play.
Yes.
So now you don't have to make the right play anymore. They want you doing sidestep, crossover, twisty turn threes. And so yeah, I think he'll be good. Again, like Walt, I don't think he would be, perennial all-star, but maybe because the space, man, like in that athleticism.
I think he would just be hitting so many threes that, as great as we talk about shooters like Steph, we would be talking about Brent in the same conversation, um, and maybe even better. Like his shooting.
Steph put down
No,
the
Steph is percentage wise, because no, I was
He's
because
perfect.
no, because he can't create and shoot off the dribble the way Steph can. As a
yeah,
shooter, no, there's not a comparison.
and
But
Steph.
but percentage wise, if you're just talking percentage numbers, I think
Mm.
the percentages would be really close. If
Oh
not,
yeah,
he would, if not better. Brent probably would be, because he's shooting set shots. He's getting open
yeah.
looks because they're swinging the ball around.
Right, right,
He, they're not all over him the way they're all over Steph.
right. Like,
Well, let's give
I think
Harrison a
okay, yeah,
moment to
yeah,
jump in here.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you guys said. When I think of this player, I think of the Spurs. I think of like him towards the end of his career. Very high efficient player, led efficiency in a couple of seasons in the league. Led 3-point percentage that season in the league that you mentioned. Some key stats that like stand out to me looking at it is, he's 82% from the line, but only 1.7 attempts, and his overall 3-point attempts is 3.8. So I think in modern NBA, given everything that you said about, his size and the spacing and the athleticism and the physicality, I think he's much better in today's NBA. And I think it's a matter of what the coach and what the team would make him do.
yeah.
Are they gonna like look at him and be like, oh, this is a guy who looks like he's gonna be in the corner and then, try hard on defense? Or are you Austin Reeves? It's kind of like something like that. Um, but yeah, I think if he plays in modern NBA, he's getting to the line more. I think he's shooting more uncontested threes, at a higher volume, and I think that, he wasn't like, I don't remember him as being like the biggest like looking guy, but like he was like a
They called him Bones for a reason. He's pretty thin.
Yeah. Like he probably weighs the same amount that I do, but he was like 6'6". But I think
He weighed 185 pounds.
Yeah, he was
that's about me, and I'm skinny.
Yeah, for a 6'6" guy, 185, he was pretty thin.
Yeah, but I bet like in modern NBA too, and this is like really going into the what ifs, like what if Babe Ruth played today, But like I bet like with how training is today, like he would be even more physical. I watch players like Chet Holmgren, and I'm like, why are you so strong? Sometimes, like he gets knocked over, but sometimes I'm like, he makes plays where I'm like, he doesn't look like. But I guess when you're 7 feet tall, that's still a lot of person to deal with.
Yeah, it's a lot of like core strength. He's like, I'm loving watching Chet like evolve, because I've been watching him since he was like a freshman in high school, where he weighed like 12 pounds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so like with a guy like him, especially having a foot injury early, it's like you don't want him to pack on too much weight. You want him to build like strength, and so they do core stuff. A little bit off the subject, but I was watching, Byron Scott was talking about Kareem, how he played 20 years and hardly ever got hurt. And Kareem was doing yoga back in the 70s, and so like his core strength was just off the charts. He didn't look like the biggest guy, but you didn't really see people pushing him around at all. And I think Chet is he's getting, like, the people he has in his corner are really smart with how they're developing him.
Right.
Fantastic point of nuance there, Greg. Dr. J once told a group of us at basketball camp he never worked out a day in his life. He stretched. He stayed limber.
Yeah.
And Kareem, same thing. Kareem didn't really lift and do all that. He did his yoga. He did his martial arts. He did his Jeek Kune Do. And that's how he stayed strong and limber. And the more limber you are, the less likely you are to get injured. That's stretching is extremely important. And again, that goes to basketball IQ, something that Brent himself would have picked up on, from his father, who's one of the most underrated players in the history of this game, who should be talked about more, from not just a stats and numbers, but a basketball IQ portion of what Rick Barry knows. Is me and Greg know a lot for guys who never got there. Rick has forgotten more than we know.
Yeah.
Like he's on a whole nother level. I'm gonna just end this Brent Berry conversation with a slight comparison that I think kind of fits. I think if Brent Berry was played today, he would be a better offensively, weaker defensively version of Alex Caruso.
Ooh, I give him more than that. I love Alex.
And again, defensively he's not there. Offensively, he's got a significantly bigger bag and a better shooter. But he would, like, if you replace Brent Berry with Alex Caruso, that defensively they're not as good, but that OKC offense all of a sudden is a lot more firepower.
Somebody that I think of who also doesn't get, like, I don't think he gets respect enough, is Klay Thompson. I think Klay's got better feet than Brent. Like, he'll be a way better defender, but offensively, I think Brent has a lot. Like, I don't know as far as like high pressure shots, because Klay was cold.
Well, we saw Brent hit a couple for the Spurs. But he was also like, he wasn't getting the ball the way Klay would have, because Klay's the second option behind Steph, where Brent was getting the shot after Timmy, after Tony, after Manu. Then Brent's wide open, he better hit the shot.
Right.
So it's a bit different.
I think that he could be like in that kind of, because his shot and his athleticism and IQ, I feel like would have him. And I think Caruso is a fantastic player. I don't think they're the same. I think Caruso's
No, I don't think the same because
not the same.
offensively, Brent's much better. Defensively, Caruso's much better than Brent. It's just kind of a trade-off on, but that the role that they play, on their teams is kind of similar in that guy you have to have high IQ,
Come in
very
and
important, and he's there for you. All right, before we get into these previews, we got a couple rule changes I want to talk about really quickly. And I wonder, Greg and I have not had the chance to talk about, because we talk about a lot of this stuff offline, but we haven't had the chance to talk about this at all. I've been keeping it on ice. So for those listening who are not aware of some of the rule changes for this season, I'm gonna keep it real. They piss me off. So the first is the heave rule. What is the heave rule? The NBA has a heave rule that takes effect this season, that any shot taken at least 36 feet from the basket within the final 3 seconds of the first 3 quarters will count as a team shot, not an individual one. So if you decide to shoot a 40-footer or shoot a logo 3, because that's what you feel like doing, within the final 3 seconds of the quarter, it's, if you make it, cool. It's good for your 3-point percentage. If you miss it, no big deal. Your percentage doesn't get hurt. This is stupid, in my opinion. But I wonder what y'all think about how this impacts today's players.
It's going to encourage people to take those shots more. I think you're more like fired up about it than I am. I don't like it necessarily because we already have statistics that show adjusted field goal percentages. It's just that most common people aren't looking at that. And it is true that we do see players not take those shots, just like how we don't see players like throw it off the backboard anymore because it doesn't count like as an assist. I don't know if that changed this season or not, but like I think it will encourage players to take those shots more. I think it's very silly because it is completely stat driven. Like the only reason you make that rule change is to encourage players. Hey, it's not going to affect those numbers, man. Although it doesn't affect your team at all. So that's where your frustration comes from, right, Matt?
Let me take it.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
Okay.
I think that it's a damn shame that they have to legislate ways to make these guys compete.
Thank you.
Guys don't take the heat. I watch way too much basketball, but I feel like KD was the one who started it. He started like holding the ball at the end of quarters or passing it off because he doesn't want to take that long heave, and he's just worried about his percentages. So we watch Steph. We watch him hit like a few every year, right? Because he throws it up every time. Because you're competing, you're supposed to be trying to score points. So once KD did it, it started becoming popular. So now you see a lot of guys. There's some guys that don't care, but there's a lot of guys that just don't do it. And so just yesterday, and the games I've watched today so far, I'm seeing everybody hoisting them up. I didn't see in the rule that, like, if you make it, does it count as a shot for you? Because it shouldn't.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, so
if you make it counts as a shot for you, but if you miss
which is
it,
even worse in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Get if you make it.
It's like like you said, Greg. We should not have to legislate a level of competitiveness. I wasn't even a scorer by definition, but I never saw a shot opportunity that I didn't want to take. I don't care how many seconds or how far it is on the court. I'm getting the opportunity to score to help my team win. I'm taking the shot. Screw stats. Like I don't. You don't play for stats. Yes, stats are important, especially when it comes to contracts and how incentivized your deal is. But I'm sorry, if you're that type of shooter, one of these heaves, people don't even average a heave per game unless you're like Steph who wants to take that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the opportunity to have to heave. It doesn't happen. Like, you just don't always have this opportunity to heave. There's not a heave at the end of every quarter. Like, they act like you're heaving at the end of every quarter. That is not how it goes. Like, most of the time, end of a quarter, you're trying to penetrate. You're trying to attack the rim. You're pulling up and shooting a mid range jump shot. You, you've got, it's 4 out and someone's, ISO on, from the top of the key. Like, everyone's not jacking heaves. So why this even had to come about is just asinine
Well, it
thinking to
comes
me.
about because if you watch a lot of games, then you see over and over dudes holding the ball, or
No, I
or
mean,
they'll like wait till the buzzer. So, like from the NBA standpoint, I understand why they would do this. I'm just saying they shouldn't have to do this. Like these
yes, they
dudes,
shouldn't have to. No,
yeah, like
you're right. I get why they are. It's silly that they have to do this.
Yeah.
it's
Okay,
clown like, man.
there's one rule I thought they would add instead to this, or consider it before. I wonder if they brought it up. Holding the ball at the end of a game to cause a turnover, like when you hold the ball to take out the shot clock,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
team has won, that counts as a turnover towards you.
Mm-hmm.
I I always wondered if they would consider taking that out because, of course, you want to be a good. It's like good sportsmanship to
Sportsmanship.
like
Yep.
not shoot the ball, whether we agree with that or not. But it also counts as a turnover to whoever is holding the ball at that time. Um, I don't know if you ever see teams play like hot potato with the ball at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the game or something. But I always wondered if they would consider taking that out, which I wouldn't agree with as well. But I'm surprised that didn't come first.
There's different strategies. Like, in the NBA, they just tend to hold the ball. But sometimes in college, you'll see the hot potato, or you'll see someone with like a really old school coach that will have the point dribble the ball out. And now, when Greg and I were coming up, that was the norm. You just dribble out the clock. You just didn't stand there and hold it. You dribbled the ball out and just let time expire. I don't see that. I don't know. I don't see that as a problem, but it does. This change does add a interesting wrinkle to how you continue to legislate that. Then, and do you make that a turnover? Do you not have it count against a point guard who's really working on their assist to turnover ratio? Well, at the end of the game, he let the clock go out. Like, but like how? But where do we go? Like, are we going to stop counting? Rushing yards against quarterbacks when they have to take a knee. Every time they take a knee, it's -2 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That goes against their rushing numbers. Like, is that what we're doing in sports now? Like,
Well, like
that's kind of silly.
yeah, and I mean, on the other side of it, like I do understand it because now these contracts are, they base, the analytics nuts now. Everything is based off of
Numbers.
percentages and numbers, so I can understand it from that side as well. Why players, it could be like a protest, like, oh, if you see what I do, but since I shot 37% from three this year, I'm not shooting these things up.
Right, and anybody knows we are advocates of players getting their money on this show.
Yeah.
But
But I'm an advocate of people competing.
yes, there needs to be a healthy balance, and right now there isn't one. Um, because the pressure to hit your numbers is crazier than it ever has been. And unfortunately, we do have a generation of players who do not love the game as much as other generations, and that's not me just being old. Like, that's out of the mouths of a lot of these younger players. Some of them flat out said they don't love basketball the way you know older players love the game. So it's something that we have to really also look at. A lot more players look at the game as a business and not a passion. So there's that wrinkle we have to consider as well.
Yeah. Boo! It sucks. Boo!
Shout out Ben Simmons.
Oh, I didn't want to mention his name,
That's
but
what.
yeah,
That's why
he's
Ben Evans got jumped out because he didn't want it.
right. Well, we know he's not shooting when he's 1 foot away from the basket, so we don't have to worry about him worrying about heaves. He's not shooting anyway. Okay, second
Put a
rule.
low percentage if I'm not shooting.
Second rule change for this season is the high five rule. So the NBA is placing a really big point of emphasis on this high five rule for officials to target unnecessary and excessive contact on shots. So essentially, um, if the defender makes a follow through contact with the shooter's hand, wrist, or arm after the ball has been released, it will be called a foul. If they attempt to block a shot, they can still contest vertically, but should they make a secondary movement like a swipe, they're going to be called for a foul. In the case of quote obvious or illegal contact that's unnecessary or excessive in the secondary motion after the release, it could be deemed a flagrant foul. Marginal or incidental contact on the hand at the point of release by a defender attempting to block a shot will still be seen as legal. So essentially, the hand is still part of the ball if you're close enough to contest at the point of release. Other than that, if you touch them, it's a foul. How do we feel about the high five rule? And if you watched the Rockets and the Thunder, you saw it live.
That's
You saw
that,
the impact of it.
well, I was gonna go the other way and say I watched that game and I thought there was at least 2 times that I saw the high five that could have been called and it wasn't. So I I will be boring and say that I I wouldn't really care either way. I just want consistency, which is it's something that I've really been complaining about these last, especially 2 seasons, because like the playoffs, the officiating's cool mostly. Like most of it, like they still mess up, but like it's cool. Like the amount of they let you play.
The
You know,
physical, the
they
physical
let you a little
nature,
bit
it
more.
lets you play. It turns into early 2000s basketball
Yeah.
come playoff
So
time.
I don't care. Like I just want I want whatever the regular season is to be the postseason, so that it's easy for normal regular consumers of the game, which is the majority of people who watch basketball. So um, for me, it's just NBA, please, when you make these rule changes, tighten up quickly, decide how close you want to make these calls, and do it consistently. One way or the other is my opinion.
Yeah, I'm Harrison nailed it. For me, it's just like, are you being consistent? As a player and a coach and all of the above, I always hated the hand is part of the ball rule. My hand is part of my hand, and if you hit it, it should be a foul. So, but like you said, like you can watch, I could watch. Sometimes I might watch 2 to 3 games in a night, and you'll see one person they call it, the next person they don't. So it's like just trying to get it consistent helps. Um, I laugh because we were always taught, like you put your hand up to contest a jump shooter, but you don't close in on them and try, like overzealously go for the block. And now they're being coached the opposite because these guys are, if you don't contest these dudes today, they're just going to be knocking threes down all the time. So we had that rule. Matt, I know you remember the do not foul a jump shooter, do not foul a 3-point shooter. That's out the way. So I like that they're at least attempting to try to get like a more clear rule behind it. Yeah. Oh, we lost.
Yeah. So you watched the games last night.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
see, you see. any changes there? Because I definitely saw some ones in the first like Rockets Thunder game where there was a follow through with the defender,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, did you see anything like that in
I
last night's
didn't.
game?
So last night I had to go see Spirited Away, and so I only caught the second half of the Rockets game, and so I didn't see anything that really stuck out as far as that rule goes, and then I was in and out. So
I
I
saw
was
two instances of the rule, one it being called and not being called. End of the
yeah.
first half. End of the first half. Um, the 3-point shot that William Wilkins, no, one of the lefties on OKC pump faked behind the 3-point line, got the shot off. They fouled him, hit the three, but they fouled him. They hit his arm post shot. He went down, and then end of the first overtime, KD, same thing happens, but KD knocks the guy over post shot, and they don't call it. Um, and so, like Harrison said, the consistency. But unfortunately, with the NBA officiating, the only consistent thing has been their inconsistency.
Yeah. I don't know if it's gone too far. We're so many years away from the uh, whoever stepping on Kawhi's foot or whoever that was for the Warriors
Oh, you
and
talking
Oh
about
Kawhi,
yeah,
Kawhi being
Zaza, Zaza.
Zaza Pachulia?
Pachulia.
Yes.
Yeah, Pachulia. So I don't know if we've gotten too far in one direction. Uh, to me, it's kind of all the same. Just make those calls the same way.
You should. I mean, there are some things that happened in the past. People I love to say that we are too reminiscent and too nostalgic. There were some things in the past that were not good. One of them was putting your foot underneath a shooter so they land on your foot. Everybody did it. It was a dirty tactic. Just because it was widely used and widely accepted doesn't change the fact that it's not cool. And people got, in the street, people got into fights over that. It happened way too often in the NBA. Um, and players admit that, hey, you know what, we did this when we were frustrated and somebody was just, Jalen Rose tells a story all the time about how he did it to Kobe in the finals because Kobe was giving it to them and it helped the Pacers win a game and extend that series. And that's the reason why people did it, is because hey, this guy's killing us, and we need to do something to try to knock them off the game. Not necessarily injure them, but bang them up a bit, make them feel something. And I'm glad that that is something that they are they pretty much policed out. You got to give the player room to land. Um, if you hit my arm after my shot, man, that don't mean nothing. Like if the ball's halfway to the basket and you hit my arm, that ain't a foul with me.
It, so to me, that should be like, to me, contact is contact, but it shouldn't be a shooting foul.
Yeah,
Like,
it should. It should. I mean,
but
if you're gonna call a loose ball foul or something, okay,
if you
maybe.
close,
And if it's egregious, but if you tap my arm and the ball's halfway to the basket, I'm sorry, that's not a whistle in my
I think my overall gripe with how it's being, it's like they look for all these ways to help out the offense. So now you got guys like these jump shooters who are like leaning and flailing and doing all this stuff to extend their bodies to get contact.
Yes.
And so to me, I don't know, like we were, I kept saying we, something like a get off my lawn guy, but like we were, like, and we taught, like I taught kids, like you want to land where you take off when you're shooting a jump shot, because balance is like the most important thing. These dudes be like laying parallel to the ground for no reason, just trying to get the call. And
Yep.
so I did see last night a couple times people tried that and they did get hit, but there was no call, and that made me happy. So, because it's like there's enough foul baiting going on. Like, as you know, someone who loves defense and takes pride in defense, it's like I would like to see guys be allowed to compete.
Yes, absolutely.
I wonder if you have to sell it at all, like in this league, because like I saw Shingun get
Good-
hit by Chet last night. He like gets like tapped in his chest, and
Yes,
Shingun like
he
shoots the
f-
ball real quickly,
he flailed. Yes, he flailed. We saw
and
it. He flailed. He tried the
and,
Reggie Miller kick. He flailed.
but like he got the call, and he was fouled. But if you don't flail, do you not get the call that you rightfully deserve?
If he doesn't
It's
flail, he
very
doesn't get that call. He was barely touched. Um, yeah, that was. There's like there are so many weak calls um, that it's just like yeah, I mean
yeah.
they call the weakest things. I thought it was a weak call, but part of that you do have to chalk up the gamesmanship because not every player is quick enough on the reaction to feel that contact and respond quick enough to get a shot up and get the foul call. So while yeah, it's a weak call, um, you know what he as a defender you have to be a little bit more disciplined and not put yourself in that position to get that foul called against you. Um, I think I wish that there were some rules that were a bit more defensive friendly, but unfortunately, the NBA does not believe it can sell defense. Its sole focus is selling offense, and as long as that's their sole focus, we're going to continue to see calls like that be more prevalent. Um, much to my personal chagrin.
That was a funny one. I mean, I was just saying that I think Chet Holmgren is stronger than he looks, but he just slapped him right in the middle of his chest. And
Yeah, he's not that strong. He didn't take a knife edge shot from Ric Flair or anything like that. Like you didn't get hit
yeah,
like that. Now you know
yeah.
it wasn't that serious. All right, well that's the last rule change wanted to talk about here. So I like to transition into the review for the 25-26 NBA preview. So, listeners, we're not going to talk about every single team individually because that would be insane. So, what we are
Yeah,
going,
let him suck.
what we are going to do, is we are going to give predictions on who is going to win each division. We're going to give a prediction of who is going to make the playoffs and the winner of each conference, and then a NBA Finals matchup and winner. I have asked Harrison to give me the division winners from the Eastern Conference divisions and Greg to provide division winners from the Western Conference. So we're going to start with the Eastern Conference with Harrison, as Greg's just making noise that I have to edit out later. And let's start with the Atlantic Division.
Atlantic. Let me see. Okay, so my winner for the Atlantic Division are the Knicks, and I guess I'm not sure what order you want to do this in, but I had them for second overall in the East this
Okay.
this this season, and they're making improvements beyond just that this season. So they were 51 and 31 last season. They finished third in the East, and they were fifth overall in the league. They have Mike Brown with them now. They have more continuity with this entire team. This young team is getting older, playing together more. Some of them have been together since college. I think Jalen Brunson had made a leap last year that I did not anticipate. I loved him on Dallas, but I never thought that he would be at this level where he's a 27 point double double. on average player. Just elite playmaking, the amount of spacing that a player his size can get is just incredible. I kind of wish he stayed in. I kind of wish he stayed in Dallas, but when you offer your dad a job and you offer all of your college friends jobs, then you kind of gotta go. Um, I think Carnty Towns, had a great season last year, and if they both can repeat their seasons from last year with this squad, I think they have a chance to be either the top team in the East, or I'm thinking it's going to be second, and they're going to win their division. Mikhail Bridges, Josh Hart, Precious Achua, Cameron Payne. They were fifth in offense last year, eighth in defense. So anytime you have a team that is top five offense, top 5 or 10 defense, you have a championship level competing team. So I think with the direction of Mike Brown, and I saw a lot of interviews that were praising Mike Brown with his style and his communication. This is a team that is not maybe as interesting coming off the off season because it's more just the continuity, but I don't see why this team, when we look at how many players in the East are out this season, I
Hmm.
don't see why this team doesn't improve. And oh my God, I'm not a Knicks fan. I can't think of a season where I've been more excited to watch this team. I think this team is going to be could be top five in both offense and defense this year. They're gonna play physical. They're going to play fast. They can switch. They have length. Um, I think they are a very, very solid pick to win the Atlantic Division.
Wow. Okay. That's well done.
Can I just want to piggyback because that was
Yeah.
excellent. Couple of things you have going for you. Mike Brown is usually like outstanding in year one. So that's one of the things before like the guys get tired of him and stop listening to him. So you got that going for you. They beat the Cavs tonight. He played 11 players. I don't think that's been done in a few years because
We know how Tibbs is.
this is like, no, 4 players tops. That's all I'm playing. So, and that's for the whole game. The other thing I noticed, I watched like probably about the first half of that game, and they're doing some things to cut down on Jalen's utilization. His usage is ridiculous, and it's easier to key on like once you get to the playoffs and everything slows down because he is 5'11". So yeah, I think that they'll have more balance in their offense. Defense, they have it. Their bench is weird because I think if Jordan Clarkson can, get his life together, then you have like a really solid, scorer coming off the bench. So yeah, I think that's good. That's
Yeah. Oh, and I also wanted to add, I forgot to add because I put it in my notes and crossed it out. Malcolm Brogdon, man. I,
uh,
I I hope he's okay. I hope it's not like a physical thing where he just doesn't feel like he can play anymore. But
mhm.
um, Malcolm Brogdon loves him on Indiana. Really liked him on Boston. Fans really liked him when he played in Portland. I just can't believe that he's not going to be in the league anymore because I think he has a lot to offer. When I saw that he signed for the Knicks, I was like, the Knicks get Brogdon for like their 9th or 10th guy. I think that would
Right.
be amazing.
Yeah,
But
and he's a dude that you could play at multiple positions. He can handle. So that I think that is a blow but McBride is he had a good game tonight, and I think coming off the bench he'll be solid. Josh Hart didn't play tonight, so
really,
yeah,
11 players. Josh Hart didn't play. So
he didn't
Garrison
he didn't
Matthews.
dress. I want to be clear. It's not that Mike Brown is doing terrible things. He didn't dress tonight.
Yeah.
Him
Yeah,
or
yeah,
him or
of
Mitchell
course.
Robinson.
Of course. Wow. Wow. So 11 players, no Mitchell Robinson, no. Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. Solid team overall. I think this is going to be a really fun Knicks season, and I like to dislike the Knicks sometimes. So yeah, I'm giving them credit.
All right, Harrison, thank you. That was excellent. I can't even add anything to that. But no, because I mean that is a extremely
Nailed it.
solid pick. It makes the most sense when you look at the rest of the division, particularly when it comes to the injuries to Jason Tatum and um, it's when I think the only threat um, in that division would be, I mean, it's probably Orlando, talent wise. Um, you know, I'm sorry, not Orlando. Uh, the um, the Sixers, talent wise, but God knows they can't stay healthy. So, like, what do you really have? Outside Tyrese Maxey, you can't depend on Paul George or Joel Embiid.
Ooh, hold on. Edgecombe is gonna be a hooper. The rookie.
Yeah, but
And
but but
McCain's coming back. They got
yeah, but
some
I don't think you're correct. I just don't think that's going to be enough.
Nah,
Um,
like I watched
I'm excited
Joel.
to watch them. I'm really excited to watch that team. I don't know what direction they're going. Like are they coming or going at this point?
no,
So
nobody knows.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, tonight was a little bit scary. Joel did not look good at all. They still pulled the game out though.
yeah, but he looks old. All right,
Yeah, he looked hurt. It was sad to look at.
all
But
right, Greg.
yeah,
While you're talking,
mm-hmm.
give me your prediction of the Northwest Division winner.
All right, this is gonna be a little bit of a surprise. I did a lot of research here. I'd like to see who won the championship last year, and I'm gonna go with the Thunder, man. They they didn't really lose anything notable. They brought back Hartenstein. They got Chet. We talked about Jalen Williams is out right now, but I'm sure he'll be back. They've already mastered the regular season. Like over the last 3 years, they just run through everybody because they play hard every night. They share the
Mhm.
ball every night, and they still find a way to get it back into the MVP's hands. And he's going to just give you a healthy 30. So I think I think we're going to see Chet. I think last night was a tough night for him, but
It was
I mean he's still
it was up and down. He started off
the
hot.
beginning the beginning was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he started off
He
really hot.
just he's just he's lighting in the pants, and them big guys got to bumping him a little.
He,
But I think
he's
we're gonna.
he's
I think.
streaky.
But here's my thing with Chet. I don't think we're close to his full potential yet. And I do like just watching him, since he was a child, like to now, it's like he's constantly working, constantly trying to get better. Like Chet can handle the rock. Chet can do a lot of things. So I'm looking for a jump. I feel like for them to be able to stay on top and have this short run of a dynasty, you look for him to come into his own to where, okay, now we got three people you can't guard. So I think that's coming, and that's what I'm looking forward to. They got Alex Caruso. Like they just one of the benefits of having 7 million draft picks over the last 5 years is
Well,
that you get to mix and match and find the guys that really work for the team and the style of ball you want to play. So
that's very true. And for once, all the Sam Presti lovers can actually call him great because he actually finally did the thing
yeah.
and actually won the title. After all those years of analytics and not winning, he's finally did it. Um, it's going to be a tough sledding for him. I don't think Minnesota or Denver is going to make it easy, but no, that makes a lot of sense. And like you said, they haven't lost anything, and they showed it last night. So
Yeah. And like they're when we get into it, it's like they have a system they know where everybody's going to be. You know what I'm saying? They have like multiple variations. They've seen pretty much every situation you can put them in. So I think it would be neat if this turned out to be our version of the 90s Bulls, like where it's like once they fought to get there. Well, think about it, man. They're so young. They're
I mean,
so young.
they are young, but I don't think that they're that dominant. I mean, they're good.
They win 60 games every year in their sleep. Like they walk through the regular season,
Yeah, but
and
I mean,
they figured out.
I remember when the Sonics were winning 50, 60 games every year and then
Yeah, but
losing
that's
the first
George
round of the
Karl.
playoffs.
That's
But,
George
but
Karl. George
I,
Karl's a trash coach. Like, no, stop it. That's not what this is. This is
but I'm just saying. Now, I'll say this. I think that the scariest thing for the league with the Thunder is that their deep bench is better than it was last year.
mhm.
I think Jay Mitchell, Casey Wallace, um, and Jalen Williams really showed a lot in that game last night. Um, and just uh, their ability to have that energy off the bench, you know, being able to score, not afraid to take the shots, hit big shots, and those two, especially Mitchell, um, Wiggins too, actually, Wallace, Wiggins,
Listen, it's
and Mitchell
everybody that comes off the bench
all
figures out
hit
a
big
way to,
shots.
yeah, they figure out a way
Yeah.
to contribute like on a nightly basis. Like,
And
to
honestly,
me,
I think the league told them to take it a little easy on on the Rockets because
now
when
you
old
sleeping on the Rockets.
no
We
no
ain't
no no
talking
let
about
me
the Rockets.
no let me finish because when what's his name when old boy Reed Shepard was bringing the ball up and they were pressuring him, I could see he was weak with it. They wanted to take those cookies, and he
He had a tough game.
yeah, your rocket the Rockets need some they need some ball handling. I know,
Well,
I know. Well, we'll get into them later, but
yeah,
and
I'm just gonna say for now, the Rockets need some ball handling.
right, and Fred Van Vliet is one of the most underrated players in the league, not just point guards. And not having him, and okay, we'll get to the Rockets later. Thunders though, my God, like what? I don't know a good '90s comparison. I mean, I think the Spurs, but whatever. Uh,
More Spurs
I
like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they're
Come on,
just
Greg, because
they,
the
they are
deep
the
the
most.
depth of the team. Come on, the Bulls were top heavy, and you know it. The
I
depth of the
mean,
team that's more Spurs like.
they're the
yeah, but
most.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna let Harrison
Yeah,
finish.
just Swiss Army knife type of team that I've ever seen. Their top 9 players in minutes last night were all players that played on the championship team last year. They're missing Jalen Williams, and it's like Isaiah Hardenstein fouls out, next guy up. Chet Holmgren fouls out, next guy up, and they're switching everything. Like there was times where I'm pretty sure they were putting the opposite guy on the screener just so when they switched it, they had the person they wanted on him.
Yeah,
Mike Daignault just has this team figured out.
Yeah.
This is the most difficult division, though. Greg, I want to hear from you, but also my question for you: if it's not the Thunder, are you going Nuggets or Timberwolves for this?
So I've been thinking long and hard about that. I just I love the Timberwolves. I love Anthony Edwards. I'm hoping Rob Dillingham gets to, like gets more reps because I feel like he's a solid player. But I think the Nuggets, I think, are primed to be stronger this year, and they're strong every year. But so Murray is that's always going to be the question. Like I was looking at it, this kid still hasn't. I don't think he's made an All-Star game yet,
he has not.
and it's not because of how he plays basketball. Because when he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, it's
But
a popularity thing.
but it's also because he's injured every year. Like
That's true
he's
too.
missing games, and since that knee injury, I'm starting to feel like he's never going to be 100% or get back to what he used to be. So that's one of my concerns. New coach, you got some new parts that you're playing. We were talking about Christian Brown being Magic. I think that he's poised to, now that he got to start last year, but he was basically like the trash man. So
Yes.
this year, I'm wondering if they're going to allow him to play, because I think he's got a lot more to offer than what they've been using him for.
They're paying him the money for it, so he better do it.
So we'll see. I know one of the reasons Malone is out of there is because he didn't want to play the youngsters. And it's like you have to play your young guys because you're going to need them, So I just think Joker, he's still too good. So I'd put money on them. I think the way that Minnesota plays, especially with sorry, that's Rudy Gobert on the court. That was rude. I shouldn't have said that.
Like we didn't see it coming.
Yeah. So you got Rudy, and then you got Julius, and I like Julius, but like I just feel like that's not a good it's not a good tandem. So I think they're good enough to get to the playoffs. And we've seen that they can, get hot and beat just about anybody. But I'd take the Nuggets first. Like I would put money on the Nuggets before I put money on the Wolves.
They might have gotten better this year. The Nuggets.
Which one? The Nuggets? Yeah.
Nuggets. Like they got Bruce Brown back.
Mm-hmm.
What did they get for MPJ? I forget.
I don't know, but anything is better than.
Well, the Nuggets, in my opinion, add by subtracting. So the names are not as they don't jump at you the way they did, but they're still extremely solid. So new faces: Jonas Valanciunas, Tim Hardaway Jr.
Oh, they got Cam Johnson.
Got Cam Johnson.
Right.
So there's that's going to help them, and they're going to be dangerous. The Jamal Murray question is a big question. I mean, he's still only 28 years old, but if he's going to be healthy is the big thing. Christian Braun is still a question mark for me, but we'll see
Boo, your question.
You've got more faith in him than I do. That's cool. For me, the Denver is, how are they going to be able to handle in the long haul, because they were burnt out last year. They were worn out. They were beat up. They were tired. That was their biggest issue. So how, and like to your point, Greg, they need to play their younger players, because they need to have gas in their tank come playoff time.
Yeah, and I'll say this: whatchamacallit, Peyton Watson and Julian Strother, like both of those guys showed when you give them time that they can contribute. Watson could be defensive player of the year type of kid if he got like a lot of minutes. And then Strother, he shoots it, and he's another guy with a pretty solid IQ, long. So I think you like you said, and then it's Denver, and I guess the altitude doesn't mean as much as it used to mean, but you be like a lot of guys be exhausted from playing there, and I do feel like Malone was like overusing those guys. Now, one thing I will say is that I feel like even Joker, they could cut his minutes a little bit.
Yes.
To have him fresher like later in the year.
I agree.
But I don't want to say it like he's the problem, because he ain't never been the problem.
Well, his defense is a problem, but
I mean,
or lack thereof, I should say.
Honestly, his defense, like I've been watching him. So you go back to the bubble when his defense was like pretty bad, to now his like he competes a lot better on defense now. I will give him that.
I
All
know
right.
I know we gotta move on,
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I had seen Jokic play live one time in 2016, and it was against the KD Warriors in Denver. I think altitude definitely does affect it a little bit, but it's crazy looking back, considering that he was coming off the bench for Nurkic at the time, that
Hmm.
he might end up being the best player. Well, I don't mean however you feel like Steph Curry or Durant, but he might at least at this point be the best all around player out of anyone that played in there. But
No, can't.
anyways,
You can't get that when you don't play defense.
He plays defense
No, he
now.
don't.
Yes, he
Steph Curry
does.
No,
plays
he do not.
I watch him.
Just because he plays more defense than Luca don't mean he play defense.
His defense isn't an eyesore anymore. Like I can, and you know me, I would say it if I felt it was.
I didn't say it was an eyesore anymore.
But I mean,
it's still terrible.
He's got what 2 centers that he has to play against every year. So like it's not,
exactly.
it's
So
not
you're exactly. So your defensive effort, your defense should be easy for you because you ain't got to bang with nobody.
Right,
it shouldn't be that bad, but it is.
He competes, man. Like I can't like the Luke, like where Luca is versus like he's competing. Like he wasn't, and I remember that. I remember him being out quick, overpowered. He's lost some weight, and he does like he moves his feet. He be getting out on pick and rolls, all that stuff. It's not the greatest, but effort is the most important part of defense. You need to watch a game.
I do watch. I am going to concede that he makes more effort now, and like you said, it's still bad, and that's why. But that's why, to me, in my book, you can't be no great. You can't be the greatest when you can't play both ways, or you are a liability. He's a liability defensively.
He's not a liability.
Yes, he is.
No, he used to be. He's
still
not.
A liability.
He's not.
If it's the end of the game, I'm giving the ball to whoever Jokic is guarding.
And there's 2 guys that he could guard that might be able to get a basket when you do that, because there aren't any offensive centers in the league.
I mean, we're not talking about your favorite player, Rudy Gobert, here. So, all right.
I can't stand Rudy Gobert.
No, we gotta move on.
No, but Rudy's coming up in the future topic. I want you ready for it. So keep Rudy in your mind. He's coming up in a future topic. Not tonight, but soon. Soon. I got a topic for you, and we gonna go into it. Okay. Harrison, give me your prediction for the Southeast Division winner.
The Southeast Division is my third place team in the East, and that is the Orlando Magic. And I'm so happy to see that young people on Twitter or whatever enjoy watching this Magic team because looking to what they did last year, they were um, they were second in defensive rating, so no one scored against them, but they were 29th in pace and 28th in offense. So by far, some of the lowest scoring games were Orlando Magic. Not bad games that I enjoy, but it is nice to see that young people can still enjoy. And when I say low, like uh, their offensive rating is 109.4, and that's still one of the lowest in the league. That's just where we are. Um, they were 41 and 41 last year. They were 7th in the East. I think they make a big jump this year. Paul Banchero has been great. One of my favorite young players to watch. Just like, I don't know if he's like 6'10" or 6'11". I never really know. He's really
big.
tall. Yeah. And he was 26 and 7 and 5 basically last year. So yeah, I think he'll be putting up even bigger numbers. Will even have a higher usage. And next to that, is one of my other favorite young players in the league in Franz Wagner, who averaged 24 points per game last year. I think he's super versatile, but the team needs to work on the spacing around him overall, which will help improve his shooting as well. Jalen Suggs, offered that elite defense for them last year and also had 16 points per game. They added Desmond Bain, who shot 41% from three last year. They added Tyus Jones, who's a great veteran point guard. So I think the Orlando Magic are focusing on their young core, but bringing in players around them to really help support that young core. From the preseason, they had a 119.9 pace. Um, so they were fourth in the league just in the preseason. So I definitely think this season they are looking towards bringing up the tempo a lot more in their offense. And why not? They got all these young players anyways. So you should be playing fast. And I think they have a huge upside again for an Eastern Conference that is pretty injured this season. So I think they make a bigger leap than any other team in the East this season. That's it.
That and that Southeast Division is very suspect. Um, with the Hornets, the Wizards, the Heat, and the Hawks, you're not looking at a lot of firepower to contend with.
Right. I do have the Hawks close, and the Hawks are always a team that I tend to watch less because of their style of basketball, but I cannot
Or
wait to see
or,
what
or because of Trey Young's style of basketball.
same thing. Same thing. Whatever. Whatever.
Go ahead, Greg. I know you got something to
But
say.
having Porzingis on that team, having his best lob passer since Luka Doncic, and him having solid seasons on the Celtics. I'm looking forward to the Hawks, and they do have a chance. They're the only one in that division because that division is rough. But yeah, Greg, what were you gonna say?
All right, so a couple things. First of all, the Hawks got dog walked by the Raptors tonight. I peeked in and I quickly ran out like the little kid on the gift, like the little baby that comes around the corner and then runs away. I think it's just bad. I don't I don't like Quinn Snyder as the coach. I don't think he's a good coach. I live in Atlanta, Harrison, so so I see way too much of the Hawks, and yeah, I don't know how they're gonna find a flow. They have a talented roster, but I just don't know how they're gonna find a flow. I wanted to mention I watched Charlotte, and last night or tonight, tonight. What am I talking about? And they were playing the lowly Nets, but they beat the crap out of them. And they look healthy, which I don't know how long that's going to last because LaMelo seems to, get injured every other week. But that's a team. I don't know how good they'll be defensively, but offensively, they have a lot of firepower. Brandon Miller, I like just watching that first half. He looks a lot more confident than he did last year. So I think it would be fun. I'm with you on Orlando, but I feel like Charlotte, if they were to stay healthy, I think they could compete. And I think they're going to be really fun to watch as long as you don't care about defense.
Yeah, I think this is the weakest division. I mean, I want to give credit to Atlanta because I want to watch them play, and but I think they're destined just for like a play-in again. I think they're destined for a play-in once again. Meanwhile, I think the Magic have just gotten better. I think
Yeah.
they didn't add size like Desmond Bain, Tyus Jones,
But they're
but
huge.
but I really I really like this team, and yeah, again, like they're gonna have most likely a top five, if not like a top one or two defense, and they could have a top 10 offense as well. And like I said, I mean, when you have that, you are competing, especially in this Eastern Conference.
Right. They have they got guys that can go on a heater. They have a pretty solid team. I think Desmond Bain, if he's knocking down shots, I think that opens up the floor for everybody. And I know he's going to definitely shoot them. Don't have to worry about that. So yeah, I like them. They grinded out last year in the playoffs. They did bother me a little bit because they were like just straight up playing football. Um, and some of it was borderline, dirty. So hopefully they'll get that corrected. But I'd rather you be dirty than not trying. So it's cool.
All right. And they won tonight. They won against the Heat.
Yeah, and that was I peeked in on that one. That was looking like a really good game as well.
All right. Oh, Orlando's big, talented. There's no reason they shouldn't dominate that division and definitely be higher than the 8th seed. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I think they have a lot going for them. Very well done. Thank you. Southwest Division, Mr. Burnham, what you got for me?
A team from Texas.
Well, that's hard.
No, it's going to be one of the teams from Texas. I actually think Houston has a lot of things going for them.
Well, they just put out the tallest starting lineup in NBA history.
Yeah. I would love to see. I'm not like I've watched Fred VanVleet. I know we talked about this in our chat. I've watched him. Like last year, I think was probably his toughest year in a while. He wasn't knocking down the three like he'd normally, like what we're used to. But there was a lot of that offense was scarily bad last year. Defensively, I think Ime is going to always be able to figure out how to have his team competing. I do want to see, like last night, offensively, I wasn't really sure all the time what the objective was. So you want to definitely, I think there's going to come a time, I think, where Steven might have to go to the bench, man, because I don't know what all he's offering. And I feel like Şengün, with most of these fives, he's just going to be able to dominate them. But I still think the Rockets have the better chance. The Mavs, you got AD, you got Clay, so I don't know how healthy they're going to be. So I think the Rockets, I think they have a really good shot. But that bench is going to have to get active. In shooting, it's crazy because you got one of the best shooters that ever played on your team, but I think you need more because we saw what happened. Remember what the Celtics did to KD at the Nets when he didn't have any shooters around him. It's like, okay, we're just gonna lock you up.
And multiple times last night, they were like, "Hey, Amen Thompson, yeah, go ahead, shoot the ball.
Yeah,
You with us. Go ahead, shoot the ball. You with us."
yeah,
And it was ugly.
and I love that kid. I think
Oh, I love him too.
he's been a point guard since he was a child, and then they came in. I feel like they did a disservice, kind of making him play power forward. Like they basically made him just play wherever last year, and so he wasn't able to work on some of the things he needs to work on. Because I think I would love to see him play his career as a point guard. You could see like he's not as polished in that way right now, and he's gonna have to get there. Jabari was in the preseason. He was looking like more confident than I had ever seen. Last night, he kind of fell back into who he has been, which is frustrating.
Well, see, but part of it, and just my take, I thought he was. I offensively, I don't know what, like he said, I don't know what Ime was doing. Outside of Şengün being hot, I felt they were deferring to Şengün too much instead of working the other players on the offensive side. And also, I don't understand. Their offense is so much one on one, and then players top of the key. They're working their defender. They get cut off, and then all of a sudden they're just pivoting, looking to pass it off, and they kept on doing that over and over. And OKC's too fast laterally, and just multiple times you see Rockets just pivoting in the paint, trying to pass the ball away, and it's like, what kind of offense are we running here? There was very little fluidity. There was very few back cuts. There was, outside of the occasional high pick and roll for KD, there just wasn't a lot going on. And granted, lack of ball handling, it makes it hard to really effectively run a pick and roll. But you got to do something other than spreading the floor and letting your guy go one on one when you
Yeah,
can't beat everybody off the dribble and you're playing against guys that are faster than you laterally. You got to do something
right.
different.
And that was the immediate thing that bothered me. I think if health wasn't an issue, I think Dallas should probably take that division. But I was factoring in Anthony Davis is always one step away from spraining his pinky toe or some weird stuff.
Well,
Clay,
let's not act like Kyrie ain't been hurt a lot lately too.
well, he's hurt now,
He's
so
out.
you're just
Yeah,
hoping
Yeah.
they're hoping that he'll be back, like the second half of the season or whatever. So yeah, and then Clay is just older. His body, it looked like it hurts when he walks sometimes. Right now, they're engaged in a really good competition with the Spurs. So
yes they are. Yes, that's
Yeah.
true. So you're saying Houston or Dallas?
yeah, I'm taking the Rockets. I just think uh, they have a better chance of being healthy this year.
I would agree with all of that. And I can't believe like Kevin Durant had 23 points last night. They're going to get him more involved. Ime Udoka is going to find ways to get the ball in his hands more. But he played before fouling out, played 47 minutes, and it reminded me of watching him play for the Nets coming
Yeah,
off Achilles. And I'm just like, Durant, you just show up and you're just ready, huh? Like he's just always ready to play and played almost an entire game's worth of minutes there as well. And for the rest of the league, are you sure it was a good idea to let Shingun practice next to KD for at least an entire season? Because I think he's going to rub off on him the right way. And I mean, we already saw Shingun hit a career high in threes last night. I
mm,
think that's just going to be dangerous in the long run
yeah,
because if we know something, we know KD just likes to hoop.
right.
So hey KD, show me that jumper, show me that pull up.
Yeah, I think it benefits. Like we saw how Amin started the game last night. Um, I think it benefits him. I think Jabari has like so much talent, but it's like it's not being put together. So I'm hoping, like, I feel like if KD's gravity can like attract the defenders, these guys are going to get to play a lot more, open and in space. And they just gotta, like, if I'm in, like, don't shoot any threes, dog. Just attack the rack. Like, look to drive and kick. Cause some funk, but don't shoot the three right now.
Oh, but no, it wasn't even the three though. It was any shot.
When he's
Like he's
outside of
because here. So in the first half, he absolutely, I forget who was guarding him, but he crossed him over so fast and got to the rack, and the defender was like, "Oh, that's not happening again. I know you can't shoot, so I'm gonna back off you."
back off.
And he couldn't get by him because he gave him too much space, and unfortunately, he can't shoot. I would love if Amen and Jabari Smith uh, benefited greatly from practicing with KD. Personally, in my own coaching style, I wouldn't want too much of KD to run off on Şengün. I personally would want Şengün doing more work in the low post. I think that's part of the problem that Houston had was yes, he was hot from outside, but he needed to get himself inside a little bit more. He could have gotten Hardenstein to foul out early in the fourth quarter, which would have really changed the tone of that game because Hardenstein made it a lot of big plays late in that game before fouling out. Um, and and also like he needs to really. I think he can be a phenomenal inside outside threat. I would not want him to really focus on doing a KD style game, which is perimeter based. Um, Houston's got an insane amount of talent. I just worry about putting too many minutes on KD. He's not getting any younger. And if you can preserve KD, keep him to 32 minutes a game, let him get his 23 points, let Şengün be your primary scorer, and then Ahmed and Jabari following suit. You're going to have a very dangerous team, and you're letting Capella and Steven Adams do the dirty work. Clint Capella didn't do jack last night; he was worthless. Um, Steven Adams did a great job, but he's also up there in age. I don't know how long he can, you know, carry that load in a very tough division. Talent wise, on paper, they should win. Um, I gotta second you though, Greg. If Dallas can be healthy, they're scary. Thank you for listening to Fanalysis 101. I am your host, RockinMrMagic, and this is part one of our NBA preview for the 25-26 NBA season. Um, this original recording took a long time, so we decided to split it up into two parts. You can continue to listen to Fanalysis 101 or any Jeek Nation podcast on Apple, Spotify, and our preferred podcasting platform, Good Pods, where you can comment, interact, and share on the podcast that you love. If you have a preferred platform that you don't find Fanalysis 101 or Jeek Nation on, let us know. You can email us at jeeknation@gmail.com or message us directly on Facebook. And until next time, peace.